The world is collapsing. We are increasingly becoming a renter's economy. People just don't have it anymore. If we look at the United States and some figures from the US, and we compare that to, let's say, Russia, because I actually got into a bit of an argument with someone who lives in Russia, and this guy was trying to argue with me that the cost of living, you know, and the affordability in Russia versus the US are completely overblown. And it's like living in America is equivalent to, the land of milk and honey, which is not the case. This guy comes at me with this energy and he's saying, this is the second video from this channel where I hear about the dollar collapsing and BRICS money becoming new norm. And it's extremely funny to me as a Russian, considering that the ruble to $1 is 1 to 87, and it used to be 1 to 35 just 10 years ago. Bruh, just come to live in Russia and see for yourself how great our economy is if you think it's anywhere near surpassing the US. It's amazing how these people don't understand that people can starve to until they pass away in the US. People can pass away from starvation in the United States. They truly believe that is the land of milk and honey. My response to him was, bro, you probably need to come live in the US right now. Live in LA, NYC, or Miami, and then tell me the economy is good. It's amazing that people overseas think like this, but have no idea what Americans are living with in the U.S. Your money might be worth less next to the U.S. dollar. However, the U.S. dollar's value in the U.S. has collapsed heavily due to inflation, which hasn't fully caught up to the rest of the world yet. Because the rest of the world is also living off debt, and the U.S. currency has been the reserve currency of the world and the settlement currency for oil in Saudi Arabia, making it the petrodollar. However, that's now over, right? And I went on to say, you don't have any idea how difficult it is to survive in the US. People overseas see things like electronics, fancy purses, and other useless stuff Americans buy and think we're rich. However, they themselves could never survive in the US and would just send all of their money back to their country. In Russia, people aren't struggling to keep a roof over their heads and afford food. Life in the US, Canada, and Australia is painful right now. And I should include the United Kingdom as well. The rest of the world sees the US as rich, but have no idea how hard people have to work for literally nothing. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. You know, the cost of living is crazy. The only reason why there are men who are able to survive in the US right now, men walking away, is because these men are living far below their means. You know, they are living far below their means. But for the average person, it's difficult. And the craziest thing is, like, even trying to have a family in this place, don't even think about it. Having children, forget about it. Like, it is, you will have nothing. You will own nothing and be miserable. Okay? That's the real honest truth. And when I look, I went and pulled up some statistics, pulled up some figures, and let's look at the cost of living in Russia, right? So for food, basic lunchtime menu in the district is about 6,000. It's about 6,000 $6. Combo meal, $4.51, you know, and boneless chicken, 231. These are just some examples. Eggs, $1.56. All right. Tomatoes, a kilogram of tomatoes, $2.65. Right. 16 ounces of cheese, 5.13. That's a little costly. But a kilogram of apples, so 2 pounds of apples, $1.44. Potatoes, 2 pounds of potatoes, potatoes, 49 cents a liter. A 16 ounce of domestic beer in the supermarket, $1.03. Right now, the Russians make on average $1,370 per year, and that's the amount that the typical Russian male would make in Russia. Okay, about $1,370. That's the average salary for a Russian guy. And if you want more, you can work harder. All right. Now, monthly rent with furnishings, if you were to try to rent an entire house, that's going to be way more expensive. That's like about $1,151. Okay. And monthly rent in like a in the city, it's going to be around $679. So that price right there for housing, 679, that is actually the cost. That's what it would actually cost you if you were living in the city itself. If you're not living in the city, it's actually a lot cheaper. So one bedroom apartment, you know, let's see, in major cities, it's around $460 for a center apartment, but at around $270 for an apartment in a suburban area. Cost of living in Russia is 59.7% lower than in the United States, and rent is 77.8% lower. Notice this, let me say this again, 77.8% lower. Okay? So these people are completely disconnected from reality. They think that they could just walk into the United States and they're like, oh, well, you make all of this money. Yes. And we also, and everything we make is taken. Everything, unless you're living far below your means, all right, then it's not happening. It's not happening. And right now we're looking at a global collapse because we're heading into a renter's economy. Don't for like there's a video by Freddie Smith, and he actually talks about this, why a renter's economy is so dangerous. We're gonna jump into the video. I want you guys to just listen to this very carefully because it breaks down even further what's going on.
115 million Americans own a home today, and 90 million of them do not have a mortgage. They are living good right now. Then you have another 100 to 115 million Americans with a mortgage, and the average loan amount is about $187,000, and the average payment is about $1,500. Now, Group B, their back's against the wall right now, and that's why we have to look out for Group B. 115 million Americans, a third of our country, is renting right now. 115 million. But the problem is the average house in America right now is about $436. So the average payment's around $3,500. But let's be generous and say people relocate or buy a fixer-upper and they get a house for $350. The payment's still $3,000. So the average family would have to earn about $100,000 with very little debt to even have a shot at owning a house in today's market. With renters, if we turn into a renter's economy, it scares me because what if the rent prices keep going up and the income doesn't match it, which is what's happening now? Where are we in 5 to 10 years with Group B if they can't afford the rent, if they keep raising it?
It's a very, very treacherous situation. 1/3 of people in the US right now are facing homelessness. That's really what he's saying. Okay? Facing homelessness. Okay? And that's not the same state in Russia. It's a lot of these countries, guys. When I lived in Mexico, people own their homes in Mexico. Owning a house over there is nothing. Okay? When I lived over there, people, a lot of people would earn $1,000 a month. It was not unheard, just like, like I had a friend. She worked at the mall. She did makeup. She would make $1,000 a month before she earned her commission. But how much was she paying for rent? I was renting a 2-bedroom house for literally like $150. Okay? So it wasn't costing her anything. She was living very, very comfortable over there because she had no real expenses. And she had a son. And she had a son, and then also, she was also getting support from the kid's father. And I kind of just point this out to you because it's ridiculous. We are seeing a real meltdown right now. All of these countries are covered in debt, massive amounts of debt. And it's like people are like, oh, it doesn't, like they're in copium. It's copium. It's 100% copium. Because people think the U.S. can never go down, guys. Many of you have walked away. This whole walk away thing is crazy because it's like if you build it, they will come. We have the walk away philosophy, but you were walking away before. So many of you were walking away before the term men walking away even existed. And, because of that, a lot of you guys are living far below your means, but the average person is struggling. And it depends on where you live. And it also depends on the decisions that you've made. A lot of people, a lot of men who lose everything. It takes them years to rebuild, sometimes a decade to rebuild. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, you want even more of this content, consider checking out the Men Walking Away channel, where I release daily videos. There's a link to the Men Walking Away channel in the description of the video. Go check it out, subscribe to the channel, enjoy the content. What do you guys think regarding all of this? Do you agree the world is collapsing? Let me know your thoughts and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, Men Walking Away, and cheers.